Alright, so we have the videos for the extrude tool, the navigational tools, and the join tool and the edge loop tool. We're going to use all of those tools today. Those are the ones that we've learned, so we're going to use all of those tools to build something that looks kind of like this treasure chest here. And it should look pretty much like this when you're done. There'll be a little bit of flexibility. You can add stuff as you want. You can make it a little bit better, or you can just leave it like it is. But this is kind of the idea that we're going for. So the first thing we want to do is we want to add a cube. So add mesh cube. We want to make sure we're in modeling. Modeling mode is good. But I'm going to go ahead and add 2 cubes because I'm going to end up working with both of them. I'm going to move the first one out of the way to begin with. So this cube here is going to be kind of the base of my treasure chest. And I'm actually going to scale both of these up because I want them to be kind of the same size to begin with. So they're both going to be about that wide. Now in order to select both of them, you hold down Shift and then you click one, hold down Shift and click the other. And that'll allow you to manipulate 2 objects at the same time. So with these objects, I know that this is going to be the base of my treasure chest. And I know that this is going to be kind of the lid of my treasure chest. So I'm going to go into edit mode for the base. And I'm going to delete the faces on the top, and on the lid I'm going to delete the faces on the bottom, right? Because these 2 things are going to actually be connected kind of in the end. Now I've gone ahead and I've created 2 objects to begin with. So these objects are friendly, they work well together. But if I only have one of them selected, then when I go into edit mode, I can't select the other object. And that's okay for now. We're just working on our base. So to get the base done, it's pretty quick. We want to select edge mode now that we've deleted that top face. We're going to select all 4 edges, and again, you can just double click and that will select what's called an edge loop. Or you can hold down Shift and select all 4 edges. We're going to use the scale tool, which is still R for the hotkey, and we're just going to spread this out. So again, we want a treasure chest that looks kind of like this one in the back that has that trapezoidal base and then a rounded lid on the top. So very quickly we were able to turn this box into that kind of trapezoidal base. I'm going to select the bottom face and I'm going to scale it in a little bit just to give me a little bit more of that shape that I want. So the base is really easy. We've created the base of our treasure chest for now. We're going to go back into object mode. We're going to select the lid of our treasure chest, and then we're going to come back into edit mode. Now with the lid selected, we're going to select all of the faces. So I'm going to go into face selection mode. I'm going to select one face. I'm going to hit Control A to select all the faces. And then I'm going to move and scale my treasure chest lid until it sits mostly on top of my treasure chest base. It doesn't have to be exact. You see that it's close, but it doesn't have to be exact. We're going to fix that later. So now we just want to come in and make the lid. So this lid, again, we could just inverse the trapezoidal shape if we wanted. And that kind of gives us the lid that we want to work with. This is a good start. We have these 2 boxes that are now aligned together to create kind of the shape of our treasure chest. So we talked about the join tool and the merge tool. We want to go ahead and do that now. It's always better to join your objects as soon as you can because the longer you wait, the more vertexes you have to work with. So I'm going to select these 2 objects. I'm going to move my edit bar out of the way here. And with the 2 objects selected, I'm going to go into object mode here, or the object tab, and I'm going to hit join. And what this does is previously when we clicked on edit, we could only click on one of these objects. But now we can click on both of them. And remember, the first thing what I said was we want to actually connect these vertexes so we can work on these together. So I'm going to go into vertex selection mode, and I am going to select the base, the bottom of my treasure chest first, and then the lid of my treasure chest. I'm going to come to Mesh, Merge at First. And I'm going to do this with all of the corners. So hold down Shift, select the two edges, Mesh, Merge at First. Now, if for some reason I came in, I selected the lid first, and then I selected the bottom second, I can do the same thing, Mesh, Merge at last. And the goal is I just want the base of my treasure chest to kind of be the foundational location of all of the things that I'm working with. So select them both and merge at first. So that gives me a really, really generic treasure chest, right? Maybe this is like a Nintendo 64 treasure chest. It's really, really simple. But we're going to add a little bit of detail to it. We're going to grab this top piece. We're going to scale it down to begin with. And now we just kind of want to round it out. First way to round it out, if we're looking at the model, I know I need these like panels on the side of both of them. So here I'm going to use my edge loop tool in order to get these panels. And I'm going to put 3 edges going horizontal and then 3 edges going vertical on the front and back, I guess, of what I'll call my treasure chest. I'm not going to worry too much about the sides right now. I'm just worried on getting these panels. So now that I've got that selected, what I can do is I can use my edge slide tool. So I still have my edge loop selected. I'm going to use my edge slide tool, and I'm going to move this kind of to the edge of my treasure chest on both sides. It's a little bit arbitrary, but I'm going to do the same thing with the top and the bottom. Just move them up and down. Now, the cool thing about the edge slide tool, as compared to what might be just the scale tool or the rotate tool, is if I scale these down, they stay in their plane. But if I'm using the edge slide tool, you'll notice they stay on the face of the object. I'm going to come back in with my edge tool. I'm going to do the same thing here for the sides. I'm going to drag it out to the edge on both sides. Alright, so now I've got these 4 faces that I should be able to use, hopefully, to create my kind of just a little bit of detail on the box. Now I'm holding down Shift, and I'm moving around and holding down Shift and selecting all 16 faces. Once I have them all selected, I'm going to come up to Mesh and Extrude Faces. Now by default this looks kind of crazy. It's hard for me to get it into place. If I press Escape, then what that does is that extrudes the faces exactly where they are. And then I can use my scale tool to come in and move them and scale them all in together to get kind of that shape that I want. Now, all I'm missing right now really is the curvature of the lid. But I have given myself some extra faces or extra edges to work with just by drawing them in for the sides. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to go to edge mode. And this is another point. You never want to add edges for detail when you already have edges available for detail. So I'm going to scale these out, and then I'm going to move them down. And I'm going to repeat that process with this next level. I'm going to select all 8 of them. Whoops. And I'm going to scale them out and then move them down. Now I need to scale them just to kind of try to fit with the depth of my chest, but for the most part, this looks pretty good. It gives me the rounded shape that I need. But you'll notice I'm kind of giving this extrusion for the faces here on the sides as well. In order to do that, we have to go back to our edge loop. And we're going to put one on the bottom and one on the top. Now, the reason I'm always adding 3 is because that allows me to get one equidistant on both sides. You could do it with just 2. So I guess I'll try it with just 2 for the demonstration. I'm going to select all the edges here, and I am going to go to my edge slide tool, and I'm going to slide this kind of all the way up. And for the bottom one, I'm going to slide it kind of all the way down. Now this is going to give me my faces to work with, but you'll notice that these edges are really close together on both sides. I'm going to come back and select just the edges on the side, on both sides, just like I did earlier. And I'm going to move them up and then try and scale them in. And that gives me a little bit more room to work. So I can now grab these edges again. That was the wrong one. Grab this top edge. And I'm going to be able to move that up and scale it in as well. Gives me just a little bit more of the rounded effect that I needed. There'll be a little bit of tweaking you can do with some of these vertexes, but for right now, we're going to come into face mode. I'm going to select these faces. I'm going to mesh. I'm going to extrude. And again, press escape on the keyboard after you extrude. And then I've got my scale tool selected, and I'm going to scale it in. And that gives me kind of that shape. Now I get to do the same thing with all of these top faces that match the circle, the rounded part of my treasure chest. Mesh, extrude, extrude faces, escape on the keyboard, and then just scale them down. You don't need to scale them much, just a little bit, and that kind of gives you the shape that you wanted. Now, I've got a couple of glitches here, so what I would do is come back and just grab the vertexes and move them to try to get rid of any of the kind of weird look that I've got. But for the most part, that is your treasure chest. That's what it should look like. This is what you should submit, is something that looks like this treasure chest here. You can tweak it, you can make it better, you can't make it worse. The things that we're really looking for is that you've got 2 objects and that you were able to join them together. You were able to insert edge loops. You were able to work with the extrude tool. So what we've learned in class, we've learned join, we've learned extrude, we've learned edge loops, and then we've learned just standard manipulation. So as long as you can do all of those things, you'll be fine on this assignment. But that is kind of the gist of what we're looking at. But again, you can make it as detailed as you want. If you want to add in a lot more edges, a lot more detail, you are welcome to do that, but certainly not required. And that's everything we're looking at for this assignment. So thanks everybody for listening, and we will see you in the next video. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always call me or email me, and we will work on getting those cleared out. And that's everything we've got. Thanks.